this is a work of our studio and my work as well. Those are the ideas behind what we do. And if I ended up, this is the Rem Koolhaas notion about the building, that it has at least two lives, one in the head of the creator, and then the one that becomes kind of physical when it becomes materialized and it starts to live its own life. And most of the architects know what does it mean. Usually it goes usually to the worst part of this of the story, but as the time goes on, it could becomes kind of reinvented. But what I would like to add to the problem of this life is that those buildings and actually all the parts of our world now are getting kind of third dimension with this virtual life. We could call it digital twin. And this life of the virtual object, if we talk about the BIM as the problem that we are really going through all the life cycle of the building, or when we actually create some artwork that reflects physical artwork and bring it to the virtual one, it takes its own life in this virtual domain, and definitely it's not the same as this our physical one. Thank you for your attention. Now, okay, so if you have some questions, you can ask in Slovak a po slovensky, keď niekto chce, ja to preložím potom, keby si netrúfal niekto. Jan? Our technical stuff is... yeah, microphone is on the way. My microphone is on the way.
Thank you. So, thank you for your lecture and presentation. I'm wondering, what is your personal observation? Because mine is that this digital approach to architecture was very hot just a couple of years ago. I would say before the pandemics, and everything was very enthusiastic, and people were developing the computational approach to architecture and working on a common project developing this branch or approach to architecture. But currently, when I'm observing what is happening around the world in the architectural, not only practice but also in academia, it feels like this is somehow slowly over. And I'm wondering whether it's just my personal feeling, or whether it's a shared observation, or maybe if you can look back to the recent couple of years, how do you feel that this discipline is developing? Is it thriving? Is it on a decline, or is it being developed as it was just a couple of years ago?
Well, not easy question, because I mean, we live in a time of the crisis, and it's not only about the architecture. I think the problem, from my point of view, is that we are really approaching the time where the changes are really fast. So when you start to work on some problem, you could be really overwhelmed in half a year with some new kind of technology. Today, this AI and these large language models really do the same like in few years ago. There was a cloud problem, and in the meantime of the few months, a lot of startups and a lot of actually ideas how we go further were completely smashed down with some kind of new research. So in a way, I mean, the problematic part is that I show kind of methodology, and it might be that the methodology is already obsolete, but what was the idea behind, and what is actually for me the driving force is this observation of the creativity, because for me the main problem is that we are really able probably to quite nicely establish some scientific model how things could work. You can solve, for example, the plan of the house with the digital tools without the input of the architect, which was almost, we didn't think it could be done, because for and still is for most of the architects, that's the kind of creativity we are working on, we are studying. But now it might be that it shifts with this approach, and that's the actually reason why we need to really push further the problem of the creativity and to find out what is the new kind of creativity. Maybe it's not aesthetics anymore, maybe it's a more computational approach, I don't know. And that's another thing that we are working. I mean, we call it like the postmodern condition, when you don't have the one thing that actually prevail, but you have many roads and paths to the future, and each of the creators could follow its own path. So I don't know if I answered the question.
I said I don't know how to follow up question.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, you answered the way you needed to answer it, so it was useful. But still, I would like to add one more question. When you look around, and I don't mean when you look around what the contemporary architecture is about, according to your observation, and I don't mean what you do, but if you look at what is happening in the discipline today, what is it about?
Well, I don't think we could really make kind of one definition, because it's like this, you have these discourses, which in one way go to the commercial approach, and you are looking for the best performance of the high-rises. And it's a very interesting one, because you can really do a lot about the optimization of the building, and we will probably get to the one way how to optimize, the high-rise. You can think about the material science, finding out new glass that actually solve the problem of the energy and ecology in housing, or you can work with such tools like we do to solve something different. And sometimes these paths intersect, and at that point there's something new is created, I think. It's kind of large organism, we call it design, but that's actually the main question what the design today is. And we are starving it, and I think a lot of the universities starving with the problem what to teach when we call the teaching a design. Well, yes, please.
Thank you. No, the question is, for me, I'm not sure that I am in the same line that the guy. But I have a question. Is like if you started talking about data, so and then you show a lot of forms, and I don't know how these forms come to exist? Or otherwise said, which is the data you are working with to obtain those forms? And then I found a little gap between the forms you showed at the very beginning, and then you started showing kind of furniture, whatever, that was like more everyday architecture or design, etc. So I saw this gap between the very free forms before, but so the question is, are you taking the data from form, or where does the data that you are working with come from? Are you using perhaps environmental data? Are you using, I don't know, use data or whatever? I don't see how you translate this into form.
Yes.
I don't know if I...
I understand. I mean, the main problem is that I didn't talk about the project that much. So, and it's like a projects from 5 years, last 5 years probably, and from the product design students to urban studies. So it's always this basic data set. It's a bit different, but mainly for the architecture and maybe this urban design, it's more based on the real condition outside. So we use kind of digitalization of the space and of the flows, and then they reinterpret it in the design, in the way, with the problem of the product design. It's usually the problem of the typology and ergonomics. So, for example, in this case, she made, in this chair you mentioned, probably the black one, the issue was that actually they scan the move of the human, and the point clouds has been created, and they work with these point clouds of this movement, like of kind of basic sitting position. It was her position and the position of one other guy, and they tried to mix these 2 point clouds like a path of the typology that they use. They are actually bound to their bodies, to the height and size of their bodies, and they are not kind of ideal kind of modernistic typological rules. And then with few other steps, they use, they create the form. Actually, they use kind of bacteria grow, simulated bacteria grow, to grow around these forms. So that was the point, for example, in this case. So, I mean, we don't have really kind of one input for all, but it's always based on the topic of the work and, of course, the scale and, I mean, the aim of the student. So, thank you for discussion.